Hi, I'm Brian Allen. I'm a bass instructor here for private lessons at the Guitar Craft Academy here in Nashville. I recently reconnected with Musicians Institute, and I'm glad I have too, because I really enjoy the teaching process and kind of guiding people to better themselves as a overall musician. I like to work with people to help them understand the overall ins and outs of the instrument, not just what type of wood this is and how this is all put together, but the fundamentals of the music part of it too. Yeah, my first beginnings of music interest was my brother. Actually, he's a guitar player, and one day he just came up to me and said, "Hey, why don't you play the bass?" I was like, "Cool, what's that do?" So age 11, I started playing the bass, and at age 12, I did my first gig with him. At the end of that concert, that was it for me. A producer that I worked with in Los Angeles moved to Nashville. 2 bands that I worked with moved to Nashville, so I was like, well, it seems like this is the place to be, and it's time to go. Probably the best move I've ever made, really. And since I've moved here, I've really had an amazing experience, both in the studio and touring-wise. For the touring, I've toured with Rich Robinson from the Black Crowes. A guy called me and was like, "Hey man, can you go on the road in 2 days?" I was like, "Oh, okay, sure." So I learned like 40 songs in 2 days and went on tour. I also toured with Robin Ford for about 6 years, which was just an incredible experience. Learned every night. I got to work about a year with Jonathan Davis from Korn. He had a solo project that he'd been trying to do for 10 years. Jonathan was the last tour I've done. Most recently, it's just been focusing on session work. So the Greenfields project with Barry Gibb was a project that he had been wanting to do for years, and he wanted to work with certain artists, and one of those was Dolly Parton. And our first day in the studio was, I'm sitting here, about 10 feet across from me is Barry Gibb and Dolly Parton looking at each other, singing to each other, and I'm just in awe the whole time and kind of freaking out. I've learned so many new tricks of the trade, and I like to pass that on to people that are, little things, but they can really make a huge difference in their playing. As teachers, we're all coming from professional backgrounds and currently being professionals in the industry and everything, so we're all coming from an experienced position. So to get that kind of hands-on from a teacher that's really actually doing things and out there in the public eye, it's there's really no better way to learn. That's kind of the beautiful thing about Musicians Institute as a whole, is the amount of exposure that you get to the outside world, the professional world. Teachers start recommending you for gigs once they see that you actually are really into what you're doing and you're excelling as a student, and they'll put you out there, just kind of get your feet wet. The beautiful thing about music is that you can never learn everything about it, for me, and that's what keeps me motivated. It's like, well, I'm still going to try to learn as much as possible.